The second inductee into the North Dakota Cowboy Hall of Fame is represents another family ranch that borders our ranch. If I stand on a high hill on my place, I can see the borders of both of these historic ranches. Angus Kennedy Sr. was for 56 years a rancher and stockman in McKenzie County. Through the good years and poor years, he stayed with the life he liked and the business he believed in. He was a man that suited the struggle of the times and one of the founders of the North Dakota Stockmen's Association, a past president and longtime director of that organization, and a founder of the McKenzie County Grazing Association. Those organizations, to young ranchers like me, are vital to our survival, and we certainly appreciate the work that those people did. Angus Kennedy felt the call of the West at 15 years of age after losing his father in a Colorado mountain snowslide. He herded sheep in Montana. He herded mares for Jay Grantier in North Dakota, worked for Mac Ullman and Jeff Hanley in McKenzie County before establishing his own ranch. In 1915, he bought what was known as the Line Camp, which became the family home. As he expanded his operations, Angus Kennedy was well known for his TU brand in the Smith Camp on the Fort Berthold Indian Reservation. As we look over the history of early ranching in North Dakota, the big lease on Fort Berthold Indian Reservation was a very important part of the early years of those people. He and several other ranchers, I understand there were about 20 of them, ran cattle on that big lease for the next 50 years. And in the late 20s and 30s, the last big roundups, Angus was chosen to be roundup boss by that group, and he held that job for many years in the fall and spring operations. And in those days, they left with a chuck wagon and a bed wagon, and they followed the roundup as it moved to place, and I think that was probably the end of the last open range ranching in North Dakota. Also, the roots of the North Dakota Stockmen's Association, which many of you are a member of, were planted during that period of time to prevent cattle rustling during that period of time and to really organize the roots of in the interests of ranchers at that time. And Angus Kennedy was among one of those 20 ranchers, as was Vic Christensen. I am pleased to have the opportunity to introduce Angus Kennedy Sr. as an inductee into the North Dakota Cowboy Hall of Fame, Ranching Hall of Fame. Angus was an influential friend of my family's and a neighbor to my family, and my father and grandfather rode stirrup to stirrup with him and his family and knew him as one of their best friends and one of the area's best cattlemen. Vi Kennedy is here to accept this honor today, and Vi is one of our special friends. Where are you, Vi? She sits way in the back. Most of you know this lady as a friend and a wonderful person, and I'm happy that she came here to accept this honor.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Jane. And I'm like Father, I've got to get my notes out. And I've written a few things here that I thought would be of interest to everybody. First of all, I'm his daughter-in-law, and I became a part of the family in 1937. Granddad, as I like to refer to him as, his second son, Angus Kennedy Jr., who became Ag Kennedy to avoid confusion, were working partners from the beginning. Our home was the hub, and I soon learned what my role was in order to carry on the tradition of Western hospitality, to be prepared any time, day or night, to welcome the lone rider who came, to give them a hot meal, and maybe put them up for the night. It came easy to please these two men in my life. Granddad needed only to smile, and I see the sparkle in his eyes, and I would do anything for him. And he was very appreciative. We wanted to please, and he was so appreciative. I regret today that his eldest daughter, Isabel, is not here to do this honor. After his death, she carried on in the same tradition as a square shooter. I'm grateful that so many of his grandchildren and great-grandchildren are here for this special time in my life and in theirs. I leave one special thought with you that I feel says so much. In April of 1965, Granddad and his second wife, Lois, after being in Texas for the winter, had just returned to Watford City after what had been one of the hardest winters in my time. He had gone to the various places to assess the losses. He stopped at our ranch and he said to his grandson, Angus III, "Soon the little calves will be born. When you see them kick up their heels and wag their tails, you'll forget about the dead ones." He died that day from a heart attack. We each, in a different way, benefited from him being a part of our lives. In my book, he was tops, always interested in the welfare of all the cattle people or anyone else in need. This is a great day. In behalf of all of our family, I say thank you and God bless.